don't think I'll do much better than that, so good night. Anyway, you're all very, very welcome to St. John's here tonight for this, the latest production, 100 years later, by St. John's Youth Theatre. Okay. Now, before our show starts, we have a very important job to do. Because since the Youth Theatre started a number of years ago, we've had a number of aspiring actors, filmmakers and animators coming through the ranks. A lot of these are now in college studying film and theatre, and some of them, hopefully, to join them in the next year or two. As well as that, then we've had some kids that have gone through the system and are now working at creating a niche for themselves in what is really a very uncertain industry. As well as that, we have always had a number of writers in each of the groups. And this group is no different. And isn't it great to see young people writing? Like, for example, tonight, we have, where's she at? Alana Brent, yeah, there she is. She's written and will perform her own piece. My own wee girl here, Lorraine Fitzgerald, has written and will perform her own piece. And over here, we've probably our most prolific writer, Caitlin Barry, who's written several pieces for tonight's show. But there's also another young woman here. Yeah. But there's also another young woman up here who's been writing beautifully. She's from she's from Knocknagashew, God help us. And she's just 18 and her name is Shannon O'Grady. Now, Shannon is going to school, secondary school in Abbeyfield, and just like each and every one here in this audience tonight, every one of us, she faces challenges every day. But with the support of her school friends and her friends here in the Youth Theatre and the support of her parents and her stepmom, she's thriving and she's actually sitting her leaving cert in a few weeks' time. No pressure, Shannon. So, earlier this year, Shannon wrote a children's story, and it's fabulous, absolutely brilliant. And when we were looking at that, we said there's only one thing we can do with this. So we sent it to another young man who has come through the Youth Theatre already. He's in our National Film School studying animation, and he's an incredible artist. And he drew some fabulous illustrations for Shannon's story. And he's made it his business to be here tonight. So, Jack McKenna, if you might join us. Come on, Jack. So actually, it's very fitting that Jack should be here, because Jack was the man who actually started the Youth Theatre a number of years ago with all the swagger and arrogance of youth. He's strode in here and demanded from Joe that they have a Youth Theatre. So if it wasn't for Jack, we mightn't be here at all tonight. So come on, Jack. Anyway, armed with Jack's illustrations and Shannon's fabulous story, we made our way to the printing works, where they produced and printed for us a lovely little book. And that book we want to launch here and now. So I've got a man to launch that for us. He's an actor and a writer. He was the chairperson of Writers' Week last year. He's still on as director of Writers' Week. And as you can imagine, he's really busy these few weeks with the festival coming up shortly. So I really appreciate him taking the time and making the effort to be with us tonight. So to launch our book, would you please welcome Mr. Sean Lyons.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Sean.
I feel I brought the average age down on the stage, or brought it up, I should say, by about 40 years. The last time I was with a group of young people on the stage here, we were presenting certificates for something or other, and John Lonergan, the head of Mountjoy Jail, myself and himself were signing the certificates. And I said, God, John, the last time you and I signed a piece of paper together, you were giving me back my jewellery. That's a bit the reaction that I got from John. But listen, seeing as we're running a few minutes late, I'll cut my launch from 45 minutes down to 5. If that's okay. It's a huge honour always to be asked to launch a book. And I've launched a few through Writers' Week particularly, but also on other occasions. And I never knew John B. very well. But one of the few times that I actually spoke to him, he was talking about the whole art of writing. And he said with writing, the most important thing for anybody to understand is that it actually takes courage to be a writer. It takes courage to sit down and to put the words down. It takes courage to bring those words to somebody else and show them to them. And it takes enormous courage to put your words into a book that's going to go out there for everybody to look at. So the first thing I'd like to congratulate Shannon on is her absolute courage on doing this. I've done it myself. I've launched a few of my own books, and I know what it's like. I know that feeling of putting your work out there. And to write a children's story, while it's not as time-consuming maybe as writing a full novel, it's like anybody here who does quizzes. I do a lot of quizzes, and sometimes people say to me, can you make the questions a bit easier? Now, it's awfully easy to write a hard quiz. You just have to go to the books and take out all the questions. It doesn't matter how difficult they are. But to write a quiz, an easy quiz, is very, very difficult. And to write a story, a children's story that's easy to read, is very, very difficult. So I think even more compliments to Shannon on that. And just two final points to make. A number of years ago, I was presenting the arts programme on Radio Kerry, and I met Frank McCourt, God rest him, Angela's Ashes. And I told him in all modesty, I had some of the arrogance of youth, even though it's been tempered by another 40 years of cynicism. But I said, actually, I've just launched my own book. And he said, well, that's fantastic. And he said, do you know why that's fantastic? He said, because the world, the universe, he said, is full of nothingness. But every time you create something, whether it's a poem, a short story, a book, a children's book, a novel, you create something, and that something pushes away the nothingness. And I think that's the great gift of the artist. Whether it's everybody on stage here tonight, whether it's somebody as skilled and imaginative as Jack, but particularly Shannon that we're honouring here tonight. And just in closing, I happened to be on Radio Kerry this morning, and I was talking about retirement and how to keep occupied and so on, and somebody rang in to say if I was writing the great Irish novel. Well, I'm not. But I hope to read the great Irish novel, and I hope to see it up on Brenda Wolf's window someday with the name Shanneen O'Grady on the cover. And finally, are words important? Now, when we came in here tonight, there were words up on the screen here, projected on the screen, that I'm sure most people can remember, even though they were written 100 years ago. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her fine tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons our children to her flag. Now, those words were written 100 years ago, and we can still celebrate them and we can still remember them. So words are important, books are important. Jack, congratulations on a fantastic work of illustration. And Shannon, thank you, and congratulations on a fantastic work of imagination and skill, and well done. Very mean about it.
Right, that's that done. And it's brilliant to see this girl's work being published. Absolutely brilliant. We're all so proud of you. We're so thrilled for you. So, Jack, get off the stage. Thanks, Jack. I really appreciate you coming over. Thanks, man. Right, I think we're about ready to start our show. It's 100 years later. It's their view of what happened in 1916. We have the facts that they happened, but you'd be surprised of what they've looked at and how they've looked at it and what their reactions to it are. Especially all the pieces that have been written by the kids themselves. They're very interesting, very thought-provoking. So if you guys would like to go backstage and get ready, we'll kick off in about 2 minutes. Thank you very much.